Hello and welcome to my show. I'm Gigi, and tonight I'm going to tell you the story of the real life exorcism. And if you know of the movie or have seen the movie The Exorcist was actually loosely based on this true life story that I'm getting ready to tell you. And if you stay tuned, not only will you hear the story, but I will also show you the set of the Exorcist movie in Georgetown, Washington, D.C., where I will take you guys to the Reagan House and the steps, the Exorcist Steps. So, let's get started. Back in the 1940s, there was a young boy. He was around 14 years old, and we're going to call him Roland Doe. No one knows his true identity because the priest who helped him and worked with that exorcism, they all kept it under wraps. They all kept it a secret of, the family's identity. So it is said that Roland had an aunt named Harriet, and she was a spiritualist. And she came to visit Roland and his family while they were living in the D.C. area. And Aunt Harriet, she was from St. Louis. So Aunt Harriet, the spiritualist, she comes to the D.C. area to visit Roland and his family. And while she's visiting, she spends a lot of time with Roland. And if you have nieces or nephews, you feel, a special kind of love for them. So she spent a lot of time with Roland, and she introduced him to a Ouija board. Now, you all know some people, they never, want to see a Ouija board. They don't want to be around a Ouija board. They don't want to have anything to do with a Ouija board. And a few episodes back, I actually used a Ouija board for the first time. And I called up a spirit. But you will have to take a look at that video to see what happens. And I plan to follow up with the Ouija board in a later episode. So just please remember to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell for the notifications so that you can see when I do that follow-up with the Ouija board. Now back to Roland and his aunts. So Aunt Harriet introduces Roland to the Ouija board. Roland plays with the Ouija board and all is well, no craziness. And then after she leaves, he decides he's going to continue, testing this thing out and playing with this Ouija board. And him being about 13, 14 years old, he didn't know, all the rules to the Ouija board and how to handle a Ouija board. So it is said that, this demon possessed Roland through the Ouija board. Now, listen to this. This is where it gets really, really crazy. Aunt Harriet, she passes away. She ends up passing away in 11 days after she dies. All of these crazy paranormal things are happening to Roland and his family and in the house. Items are shaking, noises are happening. They had a picture of Christ, and the picture of Christ started moving around. This demon, along with the scratches and bruising and things like that it was doing to Roland, it wrote Lewis on Roland's body. It scratched the words or the name Lewis on Roland's body. So his parents decided, let's take Roland to St. Louis. Maybe, you know, we can remove this spirit if we take him to St. Louis, because that's where his Aunt Harriet was from. So what the parents do, they pack up, you know, the family and Roland, and then they go to his uncle's house, his uncle and aunt's house in St. Louis. Now, this is where they're staying, and it's between this house and at a hospital, where they, you know, contact doctors and priests. Now, the doctors, of course, they couldn't do anything. They didn't understand what was going on. Roland was breaking out of restraints. He was, you know, hurting the doctors. He was hurting the priest. And the priest decided to, you know, do these exorcisms on Roland. Now, after weeks, they were successful. And the priest that had something to do with this exorcism, like I said, they were really secretive. One of them kept a journal of everything that was going on. And even though it was successful and nobody ever speaks of it, it's just, this is like one of the craziest stories, because this was a true event. And that is where the movie The Exorcist is loosely based on. Now, the movie The Exorcist was filmed between New York and DC, and while they were filming the movie, a lot of crazy things were happening on the set in New York. The set kept starting on fire. So they end up having to go to DC. But a lot of freaky things was going on with the filming of The Exorcist, so much that they had to call in a real priest to come bless the set every day. And they're saying that 9 people that worked on that movie passed away not too long after the movie. So they did part of the movie, like I said, in New York, and you know, it kept having fires. And they also did the rest at Reagan's house in Georgetown, and I took a trip there today. I am from Washington, D.C., so I've seen it before, but today I actually went down there and took some footage, which I'm going to, you know, show you in a second. And you'll see the steps where the priest in the movie falls. He jumps out the window and falls to his death. You'll see those steps, and there's 75 of those steps. It is a great place to go exercising. As you'll be able to see in my clips, you'll see some people running up and down the steps. It's right next to Georgetown University, so students like to exercise there, going running up and down those steps. And when they were making the movie, just a fun fact, while they were making the movie, when the stunt man was getting ready to, you know, jump down those steps, he had to jump down those steps and fall down and tumble twice. But when he was getting ready to do that, the producers, the movie people, they charged the Georgetown University students $5 a pop to actually get to watch from the rooftop. So that's just a fun fact. But that is some scary stuff. And when I was there today, even though it was a couple of people there, it also had a very eerie feeling. And it's kind of cool too how they did the movie, because Reagan's house is about 20 feet away from the steps. So the house is not right next to the steps like it is in the movie, like it seems to be in the movie. But it's kind of cool. It is actually one of the landmarks now in DC. So check it out. Do you think people could actually be possessed by demons? So I'm going to wrap it up, you guys. Till then, be safe.
Come into me! God damn you! Take me!